So today we're back at the police car. This time I'm going to resolve the brake issue and I'm going to resolve the hyper flash issue. Now, off camera, I found out where I messed up with the car, with the brake lights, and it was all down to the fact that I cut the wire down at the brake sensor, and I shouldn't have done that. It was the wrong wire. So what I had to do was remove all this trim, remove the steering column, and I had to cut one of these wires that go to the multifunction switch. So once I'd done that, it was a big plug up here. It was pin number 4 I had to cut, which was, I think, a white and red wire. I can't really remember. That isolated the brake lights, or the turn signals from the brake lights. All it was a fact of doing then is wiring the brake light wires, which are now underneath here and run all up underneath there, and I've connected them up to that wire, and I now have independent brake lights. Also managed to resolve the hyper flash on one side, and again we'll go through that today and we'll sort that out. No hyper flash. And look, the brake lights no longer flash with the turn signals, which is excellent news. So originally I've been trying to use these, which is what I have in the taxi. Unfortunately, they don't seem to work in this at all, unless I run a halogen bulb on the same line. So, no good. So I then brought some of these and thought I'd give them a try. And I tell you what, I do have to use both of them on one side, but it works. So driver's side is done. I now just need to make the passenger side do the same. So let's crack on with it. So the two for the passenger side I've mounted here and here. They're on metal because they get extremely hot. I suppose the other two I'm going to have to try and mount down here somewhere maybe. Let's have a look and see what we can do. At this point it was just about finding somewhere to mount it now, so I'm kind of thinking I'm going to put it there. So just trying to line it up to make sure that it's not going to interfere with anything else. I thought I'd better move this wire out the way because I did not want to drill through it. One more check just to make sure it's in the right place, and now it's time to mark out the holes so that I know where to drill, and let's go for it. Final check, but I know it's too late now because the holes are drilled. Now all I need to do is screw it in and make sure it's nice and tight so the box isn't going to fall off. My original plan was to use nuts and bolts, but it was quite tight behind, so I settled for screws instead, so hopefully that'll hold it just as well. It was a tight fit. I had to widen the holes out on the actual control box itself, so it was quite tight getting it in and screwing it down nice and tight. I will say I was working at a really dodgy angle as well, and my chest did hurt afterwards. I thought I'd be clever here and use the attachment for the drill bit to see if I could actually screw it in a little bit quicker and a little bit tighter, but all it was doing was just going round and round and round on the actual head itself and wouldn't grip to the screw. And then all of a sudden I had this fear about the wires and making sure I could get it up to the ground station, which is just above. As it turns out, I planned it correctly and it did work. At this point I thought I'd have another attempt with a screwdriver to see if I could get it to screw in, but it was hard work. So I thought I'd try my luck with the drill again, and surprise surprise, it still didn't work. So guess what? I went back to the screwdriver because that was the only way I could finally get it to go in. Finally, nice and tight. was then just the fact of moving the wires around, so I had to get this one up to where the other ground wires were, and then just make sure that there was enough room to put the other wire down onto the main loom for the turn signals. Now all I have to do is repeat it with the other resistor box to get a full circuit. So with them all now fitted, bolted in, it was just the fact of splicing into the turn signal wires, which is these two here, and then wrapping it all back together. Nice, look at that. So that's now the brake lights and the turn signals working independently with no hyper flash. Hopefully you are enjoying my content. If you are, please make sure you smash that subscribe button, smash that follow button, and I'll catch you in the next one.